Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and I have some more writing feedback to do today. So I mentioned I didn't want to do more writing feedback this month, but I've got quite a few emails with some people asking me to check their writing, so I guess I will continue to do it while I have some time. If you want a writing check, please get in touch. The information is written below. But I am looking for more volunteers to do practice speaking tests at the moment. So if that's something that interests you, then also get in touch. I will ask you again if you think that the work I do is useful and you want to support the channel in some way, please give the video a like or leave a comment or share the video with some people. Or if you have some friends who are planning to take IELTS or some friends who are interested in learning English, then, telling them about my channel can be really helpful. But let's get into this writing check for today's video. As always, we start by reading the question carefully. More and more people are becoming seriously overweight. So this is a social issue, a health issue, obesity, becoming overweight, getting bigger. But what do we have to do here? Some people suggest that the solution to this problem is to increase the price of fattening foods. Okay, so let's break this down. Nowadays, more people are getting fatter, they're becoming overweight, they are becoming obese. Obviously, this is a problem, and there are different health reasons why this is a problem, heart disease, diabetes, blah, 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 early death. Some people suggest that the solution, so what do some people say is the solution to this problem? They say that we should increase the price of fattening food. So we know some foods make us fatter, typically foods that are really high in, sugar or high in fat or something like this. Foods that have a lot of calories. Okay, to what extent do you agree or disagree? So again, choose one. Either you agree with this, you agree that yes, increasing the price of fattening foods is the solution to this problem, or you disagree and you say no, increasing the price of fattening foods will not help this problem. So I don't think it's a good idea to offer counter solutions here. Possibly, maybe you could. Maybe if you think there's a better solution, it's possible. But really the main theme about being overweight, but we really need to focus on this solution. And that's what we need to analyze here. The solution of increasing the price of fattening foods. That's the solution, and that's the thing that we need to discuss. And either you have two options in your essay: yes, this is a good idea because blah, 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 or no, this is a bad idea because blah, 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 blah. So, great. What do we expect in the introduction? I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. In the introduction, a nice general statement about the issue. Maybe some paraphrase of the problem. So in today's world, many people consume fast food or food that has a lot of calories, which leads to them becoming overweight. Or nowadays, people's lifestyle choices results in them gaining weight, or all over the world, more and more people are putting on weight or becoming obese, or something like this. Some problem, some sentence, introductory general sentence connected to the subject, some reference to the question, in this case some reference to the solution, which is the suggestion that we should increase the price of foods that make us fat, and then the candidate's position. Do they agree that increasing the price of fattening foods is the best solution or is a suitable solution? Or do they disagree with this? I don't need to know why yet, but I need to know the candidate's position. Let's see if we get that. Okay. A problem concerning an increasing number of overweight. Okay, first of all, overweight is written here, right? It's written here, overweight. If it's written overweight without the little hyphen, without the hyphen here, why do you change the spelling there? I don't know. Certainly some compound adjectives are written hyphenated with this little line, for sure. But this is easy, right? It's written here. if it's written in the question, I can't see how you can misspell the word in your essay. So, Okay, so a disappointing mistake here, and this is just inattentive. If this was my student, I would be raging. I would be so angry with my student. Probably I would stop checking it here, give it back to the student and say, fix it, please. But okay, let's read. A problem concerning an increasing number of overweight people has clearly been cited. Ooh. A problem concerning an increasing number of overweight people has clearly been cited. What does it mean to cite a problem? To cite a problem. I don't know what that means, to cite a problem. Has clearly been cited. Like, why present perfect here? Like recently or in the past or what? And by whom? By whom may be important, but I don't know. So I'm going to... all of that opening sentence is a problem. And this is the point, introductions and conclusions, we want that language to be super simple, super easy to understand. We don't want to take risks with language. I see what the person is doing here, that they're trying to paraphrase this sentence because they've been told that what you need to do is to paraphrase the opening statement. But this candidate's paraphrasing skills are weak, and unfortunately we get a sentence that doesn't make sense. If I say to a friend, a problem concerning an increasing number of overweight people has clearly been cited, that friend will say to me, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Some people tend to suggest, so I don't like this tend to suggest. Tend to works great with active verbs. Great with habitual verbs. I tend to wake up early. I tend to have porridge for breakfast. I tend to hang out with my friends at the weekend. Tend to works great with those habitual active verbs. And now suggest isn't one of those habitual active verbs. It's not like every morning I wake up at 9 o'clock, I have breakfast and I suggest. No. So just some people suggest is fine here. But the candidate doesn't like some people suggest because it is here. You could paraphrase it and say it has been suggested that. That could be a way to paraphrase it. It has been suggested that. Or you can find other ways. One solution to this problem offered by some is blah, 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 blah. Just adding tend to suggest is a weak paraphrase. Some people tend to suggest that raising, okay, so this is again a direct paraphrase. I can see what the candidate is doing, trying to directly paraphrase each part of the question. You don't need to paraphrase every part of the opening statement. A general statement about the problem and some reference to the question is enough. You might think, well, what does that mean? Let me give an example of this. Okay. In today's world, the problem of obesity is becoming worse. I'm going to try to use simple language here. In today's world, the problem of obesity is becoming worse, and this results in health problems for many people. One possible way to solve this problem is to make the prices of fattening foods higher. Great. So I don't need a complete paraphrase here. I just have, in today's world, the problem of obesity is becoming worse, and this results in health problems for many people. One possible way to solve this problem is to make the prices of fattening foods higher. Great. I've done everything. Now I just need to put my position. I believe that this is a good idea. I believe that this is not a good idea. Or instead of I believe, this essay will argue that this will work or this will not work, something like this. I'm using very simple language, very, very simple language, so that I hope that you can understand. That's what a good introduction would look like. On top of that, in this essay, I will argue that this solution will or will not work. Great. And we have easy to understand. If I say to my friend, a problem concerning an increasing number of overweight people has clearly been cited, my friend will say, what? If I say to my friend, in today's world, the problem of obesity is becoming worse, and this results in health problems for many people, my friend will say, yeah, I know. I'm going to delete this. This isn't a rewrite video. It's just a feedback video. So yeah, keep ideas simple. Keep language simple. I do not agree with this statement as I believe it will result in poor outcomes for the entire populace. Populace with a C or population? Populace is an adjective. It means there are lots of people. So, what's the most populous city in the world? The city with the most people. I guess it's Tokyo, Shanghai, Mexico City, perhaps. Who knows? So populous is an adjective, so no. And again, I don't need to know. And that's a bit ambitious, isn't it? The entire populace. Really, if I increase the price of fattening foods, will it really have negative effects on every single person in the world or every single person in a country? I don't think so. I think there are some, farmers who won't care. There are some hippies who won't care. Some health people who don't eat fast food, who don't really care. So I don't know, but the entire populace, this maximalist language, I don't like maximalist language. It's not very academic to use maximalist language. Maximalist, like all, every, things like this. Okay. Outcomes is a good word, I guess. Okay, so what do we see from the introduction? We get some attempted paraphrase of the statement in general. We get to see the candidate's position, so in that case it's good. The language is very sloppy. There's a lot of risk-taking, a lot of unsuccessful paraphrasing and incoherent language. But okay, what am I expecting now then? So this candidate doesn't agree with the statement, and it's not a statement here. This is a suggestion that he's made. Some people suggest, so I do not agree with this suggestion or this solution or this proposal or something like this. So statement is wrong. But anyway, what am I expecting? Well, I want to see two clear reasons why increasing fattening foods will not work. Two clear, easy to understand reasons why increasing fattening foods won't work. Do I get that? Firstly, good signposting language. We start with firstly. If you have a do you agree or do you disagree or to what extent do you agree, I like firstly, secondly. Very simple, very straightforward. It makes a cohesive text. Firstly, increasing the prices of these foods. Good. These foods. Cool. Will not prevent unhealthy people eating them. So prevent somebody doing something. You can also say prevent somebody from doing something, but this prevent somebody doing something is good grammar, complex. We get a complex subject, complex object there. Good stuff. If they can still afford it. Well, you've used foods plural, so if they can still afford them, because you've used foods plural. To elaborate, okay, this is fine. It's good. Again, signposting language, fine. To elaborate, people from upper classes in society, okay, will still be able to pay the sum charged. Okay, this is a nice little embedded sentence. It's a reduced relative clause, right? The sum which is charged. But I don't know, do we charge sums for food? It sounds strange. What sum did they charge you for that food? It sounds a bit strange. So vocab, I don't think the style is good, but the grammar is good. And continue to gain weight. Okay, makes sense. Evidently a survey Evidently, a survey from 2009 in Portland has shown that 70% of people in the high end of the annual income spectrum end up overweight. You do not need to provide statistical evidence to support your arguments. I'll repeat. You do not need to provide statistical evidence to support your arguments. You are not expected. The candidate does this in exam conditions, right? They don't have access to the internet to look up things, and they are not expected to know research about these things. So I'll repeat, you do not need to use statistical evidence to support your claims. Okay. Therefore, I stand by my opinion that increasing prices wouldn't. Really, you don't know to put the apostrophe between N and T? Do you really think the apostrophe goes there? Is that visible? Yeah. Do you really think the apostrophe goes there and the word wouldn't? I don't know. Check your writing before you send it to me. The first person to check your writing must always be you, right? You are the first person to check the writing. You are the person who should find mistakes like wouldn't with the wrong apostrophe. What is this word? Positive? You are the first person who should check your work. I know typos happen, but you have to be the first person who checks this work. These are the mistakes that you as the candidate can find, not me as the examiner can find. It just feels, the effect that it has on the examiner here or on the teacher is that you don't really care about your IELTS, right? You just think, I don't care. I'll write positive, I'll write would apostrophe nt because I don't care. And that I know we should objectively mark it, and it's not a huge problem, but the effect that it has on a human level is you are not taking this seriously if you can't find such simple spelling mistakes. But okay, I'll leave that there. So therefore, I stand by my opinion. I like the phrase verb stand by, but all of this stuff here just feels unnecessary. You're summarizing your opinion here. Have a positive increasing prices wouldn't have a positive effect on our community. The wealthy will still be able to purchase. Summarizing your points is what should come in the conclusion. We don't need to summarize the points that we make in the paragraph, so that's not right. I think the candidate simply doesn't know how to develop their idea, so they've chosen to summarize because they want the paragraph to be longer. It's easy to spot that. Okay, so now we're looking for reason number 2 why increasing the price of fattening foods won't help. Conversely, okay, are we really going with conversely? Because we're going with firstly and then conversely. Conversely is if we want to offer like a different opinion, not an additional opinion. So furthermore, additionally, besides, in addition, secondly, all of those are good signposting language, good examples of signposting language here. Conversely, no, we want to add more information, not to contrast. So no. Conversely, the middle classes, although maybe the middle class is lower class, is, conversely to upper classes, but still, secondly, better. Make it simple. Firstly, secondly, So easy to get that right. Secondly, the middle class and the lower class people in our societies will cause outrage and may even spark poverty. Okay. So let's have a look at the subjects here. The middle class and the lower class people. That's the subject. Now the verbs that we use, the two things, they will cause outrage. So middle class and lower class people will cause outrage and spark poverty. Now that's not what the candidate wants to say here. The candidate wants to say that increasing the prices will spark poverty in the middle classes and the lower class people. But the writing suggests that middle class and lower class people will spark poverty themselves. They will be the people to create this poverty. That's not what the candidate is trying to say here. The people who are not able to make as hefty of a salary. Okay, hefty isn't the academic word that we want to use here. Don't try to use overly complicated language, especially if you're not sure of the style, the appropriacy of it. So a hefty salary is pretty good for conversational speech, right? Oh yeah, she's making a pretty hefty salary right now. That's fine, but using in an academic text, People who are not able to make as hefty of a salary. I like the grammar, as hefty of a. That's good. Um, but okay, we'll end up doing something is good. I don't know about end up in an academic text. Feels a little bit, neutral, informal. But end up having, using the gerund after the phrasal verb, fine. Having to buy alternatives to consume leading to. Okay, alternatives to consume, comma. We need that comma there. Consume, leading to unsatisfactory circumstances. Again, is the target reader fully informed here? Unsatisfactory circumstances. The question that we now ask is, what do you mean? What unsatisfactory circumstances? The people who are not able to make as hefty of a salary will end up having to buy alternatives to consume, leading to unsatisfactory circumstances. I'm not informed what those unsatisfactory circumstances are. Maybe you will explain them in the next part. Let's see. Protests and petitions can spark if most of the community is kept unhappy. Okay, we're drifting from the main idea here. Also, it's a little bit unrealistic, isn't it? If we increase prices of fattening foods, suddenly there will be protests and petitions. I mean, maybe there will be, but okay. People who are on the edge of poverty will end up starving out of hunger. Why? Why will they end? And also, you've repeated end up doing something. Just for. You have it here, end up doing something, and now you have again, end up doing something. I don't know. That repetition is pretty fast. And again, I'm not persuaded by that argument that if we increase the price of like fast food or snack food, people will end up starving. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's true. But it's not a straightforward, simple idea that is presented well. Okay, for example, Mexico increased their prices on concentrated lipid foods. I don't know about concentrated lipid foods. Maybe that's right. I don't know. Which resulted in a rise of poverty by 28%. Okay, if that statistic is true, then that's good evidence. But again, we don't need to rely on statistical evidence here to make your argument. You are not expected to know the statistical evidence. We're looking for, logical, reasoned arguments, not statistical arguments. Hence, increasing the costs of fattening foods will certainly cause anger and impoverishness. Impoverishness? Do you mean poverty? I've never seen this with impoverishness before. Again, if you're not sure of a word, don't use it. Hence, increasing the cost of fattening foods will certainly cause anger. Well, you've said that increasing the food resulted in a rise of poverty, but you haven't demonstrated that it increases the anger throughout the population. So again, central idea is generally clear. If we increase the prices of these foods, people will be unhappy, people will be poor, then they will protest and they will be angry. Okay, the idea is okay, but it could be presented in a much clearer way. Okay, to conclude is fine, good signposting language, good way to start a conclusion. To conclude, I believe an increased pricing, no, that's okay, on these specific foods composed of lipids. These specific foods composed of lipids. Now, not all fattening foods are composed of lipids, right? Lipids, as I understand, are like fat. But we know that fattening foods aren't just foods that are high in fat. It could be like super high in sugar or carbohydrates, of which sugar is one. But high calorie foods tend to be the foods that make us fat. It's not just foods composed of lipids. That's too specific. Can be negative rather than positive. It can encourage poverty I don't know if it encourages poverty, but maybe it results in poverty or causes poverty, but I don't know about encourage here. And unpleasing, maybe unpleasant, displeasing, but not unpleasing. They have unpleasant. Unpleasant feedback from the public while not preventing the expenditures from the wealthy or the expenditures of the wealthy. I guess they mean expenditures of the wealthy. So a bit unclear. Task response. I'm going to be really critical with this task response and lower it to a 4. I'm just not informed of really. I am informed if I do enough interpretation. If I sit and reread, then I can make sense of it. But just having a quick look at it, I can't say that I'm very informed. Probably, maybe task response is 5, but I feel, yeah. Okay, we know the speakers, we know the candidate's position. We get some attempt at a general reference to the issue. We get 2 central ideas, and we get some attempt at a conclusion. Yeah, maybe it's enough for a 5. Maybe I don't want to be too harsh. Coherence and cohesion. So those cohesive devices are decent, right? To conclude, firstly, to elaborate, therefore, get therefore. Cool. Good use of substitution or referencing. This statement, cool. So that's cohesive. Just checking. Okay, get a hence. Okay, so the cohesive language is decent, but the cohesion between the ideas themselves aren't so great, and certainly coherence is dropping a lot. The statistical evidence, okay, that kind of makes sense and it's okay. Some things like these specific foods composed of lipids. It's like, is that really what we're talking about here? Are we talking about increasing foods that are high in fat, or are we talking about increasing foods that make us fat? There is that difference. Maybe there's enough for a 6 with coherence and cohesion, perhaps. Yeah, between a 5 and a 6, we get a 4 example as well. Okay, lexical resource. So I don't like all of the risks that are taken. I don't like the spelling mistakes with positive, for example. Hefty is a good word, but the candidate really isn't showing any awareness of style here, like how we use hefty. They use end up, which is a good phrasal verb, but again, doesn't show really an awareness of style. They take risks by using words like impoverishedness and unpleasing. Those are words that just don't exist in English. And think about that, right? First ask yourself, does that word exist in English? Am I sure, or do I have doubts? If you have doubts, find a different word. Sometimes they're trying to use like really specific words like concentrated lipid foods, and I'm not sure that really works here. I don't know. The sum charged, it's like, well, it's good language, but I don't know. I wouldn't use that. Not in an academic essay or with my friends. I wouldn't use the sum charged for food. It just sounds a bit off. But, there is a good range. But I think a nice range of vocab, but the appropriateness, the suitability of that vocab is not there. So 6 for me, GRA, grammatical range and accuracy. Not too many mistakes with grammar, right? They're generally quite accurate. We have a range of simple and complex sentences. You get this. Therefore, as, So Now you have a little conjunction linking clauses. We do have some relative clauses in there too. Foods which resulted in a rise. There should be a comma here. Lipid foods, comma, which resulted in a rise, but okay. Some of the punctuation, I guess, is a bit faulty. Using this while as a temporal preposition while not preventing. So we get a nice range of sentence types. We do get this like prevent somebody doing something, which is good. Can I find any more examples? We did have, even though it didn't make sense, there was a good reduced relative clause in there somewhere. I can't see it right now. The sum charged, there it is, the sum charged. So that's a good reduced relative clause. It should be, the sum which is charged in its full form, but the sum charged. So that's showing some awareness of grammar. Yeah, so I think there is enough for a 7 for this grammatical range and accuracy. 5, 6, 6, 7. Okay, so overall, we get the band 6.0. Is that coherence and cohesion really 6, or is it 5? Ooh, I don't know. The coherence and cohesion, I'm not sure. I'm between the 5 and the 6, but I'll give the 6. It'll be fine. So overall, score of 6.0. It seems to me that everyone who sends me an essay has 6.0. Maybe it's the same person from different email addresses sending the same thing. But I don't know. Overall, 6.0. So upper intermediate. What good things can I say? Well, it looks like an essay. I like the balance. You have a short introduction, 2 thick body paragraphs, and a short conclusion. That type of balance is perfect. I think it's about 280 words. Let's just check. Word count. 294 words. Okay. So 294 words. Decent. Balance is fine. Logical paragraph order, fine. Everything is in the right place. The biggest problem, I'm getting a bit bored and tired of repeating this same thing. Things to work on. Number 1, learn how to present your ideas more clearly. Your ideas are not presented clearly at all. The target reader reads it and thinks, what? Don't know what this person is saying. I think they are saying this, but I'm not really sure. Avoid using risky vocab. You might think that it's impressive to use hefty. You might think it's impressive to use impoverishness. You might think it's impressive to use things like spark poverty, populous, and so on. But if you don't know how to use them correctly, they have a very negative effect. So avoid that stuff. Number 3, don't use statistical evidence to support your arguments. Number 4, don't summarize your arguments. Let's change that. Don't present and summarize your arguments in the same paragraph. You did that in body paragraph 1. You presented your argument here, and then you summarized your argument here. Don't do that. If you want to summarize your arguments, do that in the conclusion. I'll keep it there. I think those 4 points are enough. Again, number 1, learn how to present your ideas more clearly. I have made a video on my channel called how to write simple ideas or how to use simple ideas. Check that video out. It will be really helpful. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Hopefully you found that video useful. Again, I am looking for volunteers to be candidates for mock speaking tests. So if that's something that's interesting for you, please do get in touch. Information to get in touch with me is given below. But for now, I'll leave it there. Thank you and bye-bye.